You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. Brought to you by
Well,
me, 2K24.
that was smooth, bro. That was real
Hey,
smooth. You gave me a smooth one,
BJ, I've been told, right? I regret to inform you guys listening. I've been told that me screaming, you know the vibes at this 4 a.m. right now, at whatever time in the morning we record these episodes, I've been told is inconsiderate to people who may be asleep in my
Oh, okay.
vicinity, in my house.
Okay.
And they were not happy that whenever they're here, they hear about the vibes whilst they're trying to get some rest. So I've been forced to take it down a notch for this episode at least. And, we'll see what happens for the rest of the playoffs.
Okay, and moving right along.
There we go. There we go. A new catchphrase for BJ's developed. Moving right along. Only one game tonight that we got to talk about, and we'll preview tomorrow's games as well for you. And tonight, the New York Knicks took a 2-0 series lead at home against the Indiana Pacers, 130 to 121. Now, it was a big deal on the TNT broadcast, BJ, because Reggie Miller was commentating the game. And obviously, every time Reggie Miller goes back to Madison Square Garden, see Spike Lee, it's a big deal. If you don't know why, you can just go and search that on YouTube. He had a huge clutch performance there. But more importantly than Reggie Miller being in the building, Ice Spice was sitting courtside, and we saw some extraordinary performances. Shout out to Miss Ice Spice because Dante DiVincenzo scored 28 points. Jalen Brunson scored 29 despite missing 15 minutes with an injury. OG Anunoby had 28 points before he went
Did we
off.
really just go there? Did we really just go there?
BJ, I stay there.
Yeah. I just
I
realized,
never
like,
left there.
what am I doing? Did we really just go there? Okay.
Um,
All right.
Josh Hart, 19 points, 15 rebounds, right? Isaiah Hartenstein had 14, and the New York Knicks came away with the win. Over for the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, who only had 6 points, six shots, in fact, in the last game. He was aggressive from the early goings. He finished with 34 points to go along with 9 assists. Obi Toppin gave them 20 off the bench. TJ McConnell gave them 10 off the bench. Ben Shepherd gave them 11 off the bench. But Miles Turner, 6 points. Pascal Siakam, 14 points. You expect more from an NBA champion like Siakam, and Nemhard gave them 15. Now, watching this game, the big storylines from this one were the injuries. Jalen Brunson left the game with 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and he did not return until after halftime. He had an apparent foot injury, which we will keep you updated on. But OG Anunoby limped off the court with 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and he did not return. And it looked like a hamstring, but I can't confirm what that was at this moment in time. So the injuries, the Knicks, who bear in mind are without Julius Randle, who's arguably their second best player, without Mitchell Robinson, who was their starting center for much of the season, without Bojan Bogdanovic, who they traded for at the trade deadline, were through long stretches of this game without OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson, and they still managed to come away with the win. The Knicks really started. I think what the Knicks wanted to do in this one was build up a nice lead early because they were pushing the pace to begin this. They were very aggressive. OG scoring, he was huge in the first half. Like I said, he finished with 28. The Pacers started off by dominating the offensive glass, but when it came to the fourth quarter, it was the Knicks who dominated the offensive glass, as they do. And you know the vibes.
No, I don't know the vibes, Mo. I don't know the vibes. Tell me what the vibes are, Mo. Just tell me.
I got a text and it distracted me. That's what the vibes are. But moving right along. We'll talk about the players in a minute. But I want to talk about.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
No, I want to talk about one player in particular before we go into the rest of it, because I know what you're going to say about the injuries and whatnot. But TJ McConnell, in the 44 minutes he's played in this series, the Pacers are a plus 22 with him on the court. Without him in the lineup, closing the game down the stretch tonight and in game one, that's a big factor in why they're down 2-0 in this series now, because he is so impactful when he plays defensively. He does a lot pestering Jalen Brunson. He came up with 12 assists off the bench in just 22 minutes to go along with 10 points. He's a key player for this Pacers team. But Rick Carlisle, who got ejected at the end of the game, doesn't play him down the stretch. And I think if I was Rick Carlisle, I would play TJ McConnell more minutes. What are your thoughts on that, BJ?
Okay, so now you have an all-star lead guard. And then we're talking about playing TJ McConnell. What is it?
It's about matchups.
No, no. No. I'm not going here. We have an all-star max player. And then now we're talking about we need to play the backup if we're going to advance. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that game. I play, it's fun to play a lot of games, but that's one game I'm not going to play.
And moving right along. Miles Turner, step up to the plate. It's my question about you. You finished tonight 3 of 11 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. But my biggest problem with Miles Turner is you're clearly having a cold shooting night. Because don't get me wrong, he can shoot the basketball. But with less than 3 minutes to go, down by 6 in a crucial playoff game that you could steal on the road, he opts for a wide crossover that looked like it happened in slow motion into a step back 3. What are you thinking? You ever seen that clip of Patrick Ewing when he's coaching and he goes, was it Patrick Ewing? And he's like, is that your shot? You work on that shot? Why did you take that shot? Have you ever seen that clip?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I could think about at that moment because that was a horrific shot selection. But both of these games 1 and 2 have been very winnable for the Indiana Pacers. Do you see them winning games 3 and 4? Because as much as they could score the basketball when Miles Turner's not doing step backs, their defense just can't find a way to get stops.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like what's really going on here. They basically have what, 6 players that play. They lose OG. They lose Jalen Brunson for the entire second quarter. And they still lose by what?
Yeah, the Pacers lost by 9. Yeah.
9 points. Okay. I what do you want me to say? I'm trying to figure this out. Like, you have the depth, you have all-star caliber players. You got Pascal Siakam, a former NBA champion. You have a terrific head coach, but somehow, some way, they're beating you with like 5 players.
They're not beating you in the minutes that TJ McConnell is on the court. It is worth noting.
Okay, well, if that's what the answer is, just get it done. Because right now, it's hard for me to like what's the name play? What, 30 minutes tonight?
Who?
Jalen Brunson. How many minutes did he play?
Jalen Brunson finished with 33 minutes. He didn't come out of the game in the second half when he returned. Josh Hart, for the 4th time in the postseason, played all 48 minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, 44 minutes. And by the way, a shout out to Dante DiVincenzo because not only does he hit timely threes, there was one possession where his defense, I literally got out of my chair and I was like, oh my Lord, I love good defense. And I saw this possession. I said, yeah, they're winning this game. They're winning this game.
So I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know. What I will say is what I said at the beginning of the season, the series. The Knicks play a brand of basketball that translates into playoffs. They're very physical. They can grind the game out. They get the effort, the second effort. Isaiah Hartenstein, these guys, they play a physical brand of basketball on both sides of the ball. And I understand. I think I understand what they're trying to do is they're trying to force the tempo. They're picking up full court. But they can't grind it out, though. You have to meet the physicality of the game. Like, I'm seeing Brunson and these guys are just banging them on the offensive end, and then they banging them on the defensive end. And then at
They're
some
banging
point
into
here,
them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I would think that they will be a much more aggressive team at home. But I don't know. You got to meet the physicality of the game.
I would love to take the Indiana Pacers wings and their guards and teach them the concept of a box out. When a shot goes up, you need to box out the guy you're guarding to secure the rebound, especially if that man is Josh Hart. Because there's no way a 6'4" guy should be getting 15 boards in a playoff game. This is absurd what he's doing. The energy that he's bringing is simply amazing. The other player I wanted to shout out, though, is Precious Achiuwa, who's kind of been in and out of the rotation since he got to New York. But without Mitchell Robinson, he played 28 minutes off the bench. And he was key in tonight's game in maintaining what the Knicks are trying to do. And when his number is called upon, you saw it in the Philly series, when his number is called upon, he can step up to the plate and play his role very well. He was 4 or 5 from the field, got 5 boards to go along with that. And he absorbed 4 fouls, which is a key role of a backup big.
Again, I don't get it, but I don't get it. I don't understand
then. What do the
it.
Pacers need to do differently?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like you got to meet the game where the game is at. Like you score 121 points, but you give up 130. Like,
But that's been their story all season long.
yeah, okay, well, all right. If that's the story, then this is the
And
story.
here's the thing: for a team that plays with so much speed, they only had 10 fast break points the whole game. Because in order to get fast break points, you have to get stops.
Yeah, there you go, Mo. There you go. Like, we could sit here and analyze the game, look at the matchup. This guy needs to be in. No. They have the younger team. They're more athletic. They have more depth. But if you constantly taking the ball out of the basket, well, how's that going to benefit the team? Right? What did the Knicks shoot from the field? What did the Knicks shoot from the field today?
57% from the field and 47% from behind the arc. The other problem the Pacers have.
What do you want me like? What do you want me to say? Like, what do you want me to say on that?
The
like,
other problem that the Pacers have is they were 10 of 17 from the free throw line as well. Aside from Halliburton and Obi Toppin, those guys weren't getting to the line, and if they did, they were not making the free throws. For a player like Siakam to get to the line only 2 times and miss both, it's very, very underwhelming. This is the player that you traded for. You know, you're having a great regular season. You get to the in-season tournament final, whatever. You then make this trade for Pascal Siakam. I feel like Bruce Brown might have helped you more tonight than Pascal Siakam did.
Hey, I'm all I'm saying is I don't know what is going on here, but whatever is going on, it's just not translating. And you look at the team, you go, okay, this is a nice team. You look at the roster, you go, but you got to meet the game. Like, this team is not, you're giving up 57% shooting. That's virtually impossible.
To a one-legged Jalen Brunson.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you want me to say?
Okay, I do know what I want you to say, BJ, because before we break down the previews of tonight's game, congratulations are in order for one Mr. Nikola Jokic on winning his 3rd MVP award. What are your thoughts?
Well deserved. I mean, I thought he was the best player this year. Shea Alexander was terrific. I thought Luka Doncic played great. I thought those were the front runners. But from start to finish, Jokic in the regular season, I think he's been terrific. I thought he was terrific again. Congratulations to him. Very well deserved. And but I'm gonna tell you what, I think Shea is I think he's poised now.
Absolutely.
I think he's poised to, like, next year, he completes again what he was able to complete this year. I think he wins it. So I think he's the front runner if you ask me who's going to win it next year, because I think he's going to have one of those, like, he's been terrific for the last 2 years. Now, as he gets this playoff experience, and now coming into next season, he'll play with the expectations of, like, this is a playoff team now. I think now he will just, like, be in position to win it. But congratulations, and very well deserved. I thought he was the best player this year.
I have 2 major problems with the MVP award. And well, my pick was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he's the number 1 seed, best player on the number 1 seed. He had 30 point games 50 times. It's like only a handful of players have done that, but that's besides the point. My first problem with the MVP award is that the timing of it. Why are we announcing the MVP award when the MVP winner is currently down 0-2 in a playoff series? Why can't we announce the award at the end of the regular season? It's the NBA's regular season MVP. The award should be announced at the end of the regular season. And then my other problem, and don't get me wrong, the NBA on TNT with Inside the NBA is one of my favorite shows. It probably is my favorite show in the world with Chuck and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie. However, this is a very underwhelming announcement for an MVP of a league. You got him on a Zoom call from the practice facility. Meanwhile, Shaquille O'Neal goes full Kanye West. You know, when Kanye West went on stage when Taylor Swift was getting an award and told her that Beyonce should have got it. That's what he did to Jokic tonight.
What did he say?
Said to Jokic, with all due respect, I think Shea should have been the winner. And I'm like, okay, this is the announcement for MVP. Like, at least back in the day, right, they used to put the MVP, they used to bring the trophy to the arena before the game and whatnot. Now, it's like, I get it. TV right buyers want to make a big deal about it, but you could present it in a better way. And I know Shaq's going to come out and say he was just trying to motivate Jokic, but it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. So those are my two problems with the MVP award. But tonight, there are two games in the NBA playoffs. The first one is in Boston, where the Celtics lead 1-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Is there anything the Cleveland Cavaliers can do, or are they simply overmatched by a more talented team?
I just think the Celtics are, I think they're just a better team from top to bottom with this, if you're just looking at this matchup. I think they're a better team, and I think individually that's a tough matchup. I think that's a very tough matchup for them. So
yeah,
I think the Celtics will be ready. I think the Celtics will be ready to play. I think they go there and win at least one down there in Cleveland, and then finish it out back home. So
yeah, I mean, I'm expecting a better performance from the Cavaliers, because game one they were coming off. They only had like a day or two's rest after an emotional game 7 win in Orlando. Or at home against Orlando. And then they came into this one. They wouldn't have had that much time to repair. And I just feel like Cleveland can steal a game here if they just shoot the threes and make them at a high percentage. They put up 42 in the last game and only made 11. And if they have one of those absurd shooting nights, it's the NBA. Modern NBA, anyone can win if they get hot from three. But I would fully be disappointed if the Celtics didn't handle business. But the more interesting matchup is the Dallas Mavericks and OKC Thunder, BJ. OKC leads 1-0 in Oklahoma. Do you think, aside from Luka Doncic's whatever injury he has getting significantly better before the start of the game, do you think that Dallas has a way to win this one? Because what I saw from game one was not convincing.
Yeah, I do. I think Dallas will make adjustments. This will be a big game for OKC because OKC came out with a lot of energy. Game one, it's kind of you're kind of getting a feel for how this team is going to play when you're in a series, and it's always easier of the two, if you're comparing to game one and game two, to win game one because you don't really know what to expect. This has an opportunity now for OKC to establish before they go back down to Dallas that, hey, we're a better team. And I think this is good for their confidence. So do I think Dallas can win it? Yes. Do we know the health of Luka? No. And if Luka is not 100%, I don't know if it's going to be possible for him to win, because I'm going to tell you something. I think Shai Alexander can match anything that one of those guys will do. Very rarely will they do, they'll play like exceptionally well together. One will play well and the other will adjust. But I think Shai really came out and really displayed that, hey, he's the best player in the series. And that's a big statement to say. Now, I think Luka will respond. I think it will be a great matchup. But right now, Shai really, in game one, he was the best player for sure in game one. Now, we'll see what happens the rest of the series because we're seeing exceptional players. Kyrie Irving in the last series, I thought he was the best player in the series.
Yeah, he was indeed.
Okay. So we'll see what happens. I think it's important for OKC to win this game. But Dallas is a very, very dangerous team because those guys are very capable. And you need good guard play. Well, they have great guard play, every night with those two. And OKC has great guard play with Shea Alexander. So I'm interested. I think it'll be a good game, and you and I will be tuned in.
Yes, sir. I'm interested to see the adjustments that Jason Kidd makes in this one. And we'll be back tomorrow with more. This has been a quick episode. We get a nice early finish today, BJ. About 4
Yeah,
a.m.
it's
I'm
one
getting to
game. One
finish.
game. I feel like we're all a little, a loss of words. Sometimes, Mo. I'm going to take a page, out of the coach's book. After a tough loss, it's best not to say anything, because I'm really disappointed with the Pacers. Because I thought if there was a chance for them to win the game, if it was a game that was set up for them to win, this was it. They have players out. They got players who got hurt during the game. Their best player didn't play. I think he missed the last 3 minutes of the first quarter, didn't play entirely in the second quarter, and then they still lose. So I thought this was a game that they could win, but they didn't. But I'm going to say, hey, maybe they'll figure it out. I was a little upset with them last series where they lost to Milwaukee.
Unserious is the word that some would use.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I know these guys are trying, but it's a little disappointing because the key to advancing in the playoffs is win the games you're supposed to win. Win the games. This game.
Your two starters are missing. Their best backup big off the bench is missing.
He's a starter, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a starter when he's
only
healthy.
been playing off the bench because he's already injured.
So think about this.
And Julius Randle.
They got 4 starters out, and they're still losing. Okay?
Yeah, I don't have the words for either. But I want the Knicks to do one thing, BJ. You see the quote in Miami that they had this season, which says, we're the hardest working, meanest, nastiest team. Da, 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 da. That statement deserves to be on the court in Madison Square Garden instead of in Miami. Because we're talking about the hardest working, the best condition. I don't see any other teams with their stars playing these minutes. They're the best condition, most professional, unselfish. Now, this Knicks team, they've been moving the basketball nicely, and the role players aren't getting upset when Jalen Brunson's out there doing his thing. The toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. Well, you've got to just go look at what they do in fourth quarters, the way they crash the glass and the way they do what they do. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to give the Knicks this. The Knicks, they play hard. They play together, and they fight. They do. It's hard not to like the team. It's hard.
I think they're like America's team right now. If you're a neutral, you're rooting for the Knicks right now.
They just play hard. I mean, they share the ball. You could tell they like each other. I mean, if you're coaching the Knicks, this is a fun team because it's like it reminds me of like an undersized heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Excuse me,
it's
Evander
like Rocky.
Holyfield.
It's like Rocky, bro.
Exactly. That's exactly what the Knicks. When you're watching them, you're just like, well, they're like small, but they play tough. They play hard. They fight for everything. They try really hard.
Even like 8th round in, you're tired. You still get up and go. Like,
exactly. That you know what, Mo? That's who they are. They're Rocky. So you can't not cheer for them. Like you're watching the game, you were like, I'm kind of rooting for the Knicks here.
Hell yeah.
Jalen Brunson goes out.
Of basketball.
He's out. You don't know what's going on. Then the guy walks out in the second half. You're like,
I just wonder how many of them are going to be healthy by the time the next round comes around if they advance. That's my worry for them. But as a Celtics fan, I can't be that worried.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and this guy keeps playing 48 minutes. Like, come on, man. This guy has to get. I don't know how they're going to survive it, but you got to admire it. You're like,
I hope he does nothing in the offseason. I hope he does absolutely nothing. Just find a beach, find a swimming pool, and just chill out, bro.
I just think about it, like you're coming to the game every night knowing I'm going to play the entire game. Like what?
At least you can get your rhythm. You can't have that excuse.
And
I sat on the bench too long. I lost my rhythm. No, you're in.
and on that note,
On that note, make sure you subscribe to the Hoop Genius podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts from. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down more action from the NBA playoffs. We've got episode 500 coming up soon. That's going to be fun. So stay locked in for that.
Yes.
And BJ, we get a nice early night. So enjoy your rest. Get some sleep because the 2 games tomorrow night. Well, I know one of them should be really interesting. And one of them is hopefully going to be a Celtics blowout. So fingers crossed. And I'll probably jinx them by saying that. So we'll have to wait and see on the podcast tomorrow. Until next time, get buckets.